Get ready for the feature presentation.
And now, it's my daddy, Monkey Wi-Fi.
Back in time. Gotta get back in time.
Welcome into another Marty and Friends podcast. I'm Marty McFly, joining me again. And we had him on a couple of weeks ago, and I got a lot of feedback because he knows his stuff, and I got a lot of positive feedback, actually. So from Titans Radio, I welcome back Rhett, Bryan to the show. How's it going, buddy?
It's good, and I'll tell you this. We missed on our picks to go, NFC Championships and into the Super Bowl.
You should have stopped me or something. Right
well, I was right there with you, though. That's the problem. I think I was voting with my heart and not my head.
I will say this for us, and me mainly. We did say when we talked about the Patriots, and I think we gave them a fair assumption, we said these two things. During the season, they weren't the team that they have been, but never count the Patriots out. That was said on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So we did cover
We covered a base there. You're right.
But to that statement, here's this. The Patriots were a different team once the playoffs hit. I haven't seen that team all season.
Well, let's be honest. You're a longtime NFL fan like I am. This is the place where teams elevate their game, and you get hot at the right time. You can ride it right into the Super Bowl. I mean, those two Giants teams of a few years ago with Eli Manning at quarterback, those teams started out, 1-4, 1-3, something like that. And one of them went 7-9 for the year and got, because of a bad division, snuck into the playoffs and got hot and won the Super Bowl. And beat the Patriots both times, by the way.
Detroit beat the Patriots this year.
The Titans beat the Patriots this year.
A great game.
Yeah.
Also, all I'm saying was different team. Now, we did get the Saints pick right. Even though the Saints aren't there, we still got that pick right, let's face it.
I agree. We did.
I'm not going to take any blame for that one because it should be the Saints. But anyway, we'll move on. Here we are getting ready in the next couple of days for Super Bowl Sunday. When you break this game down the way you do, the way you official guys do, the way they're playing, you kind of have to give a lot of the edge to the Patriots. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, I think that it is the Patriots' game to lose in this situation, just based on the fact of what we talked about when we covered the base the last time I joined you on Marty and Friends, is that you can't count out Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. I think the angle I would come at this is how do they beat the Patriots? Well, there's two or three things you look at. First of all, the obvious one in Jared Goff. He can't throw picks, no turnovers, no mistakes. That's a given in any ball game, but it certainly applies in this one. But there's a couple of things the Rams could have in their favor if things are clicking on all cylinders. And one, their running back, Todd Gurley, stud running back, injured a knee late in the season, didn't do a whole lot for the last month of the season. You could see he wasn't himself in the NFC Championship game. He's had a couple of weeks to get treatment and heal up a little bit. If Todd Gurley is able to successfully, and I'm not discounting C.J. Anderson of this because he's a guy they picked up last minute. He was on 4 different teams this year and really helped get them into all of this. But Todd Gurley is the thing for me because if you can establish a good rhythm run game, and he could bust one at any time. Plus, he can catch out of the backfield. You do one thing. You do two things. One, you wear down the Patriots defense, and it's your best defense by running your offense effectively because in those long, sustained drives, and you're able to score with that, it keeps Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and all of those guys off the field. And the Rams offense has plenty of weapons to choose from, whether it's Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, the tight ends that they have. But certainly Todd Gurley is the one I'm looking at because he can be a difference maker in this, provided the bad wheel he's working on is okay and he's able to power through it. The other one, for me, is the Rams pass rush in this because in the games that we talked about where the Detroit Lions and the Tennessee Titans defeated the Patriots in the regular season, they did a couple of things well. They didn't sack him a million times, but they made him uncomfortable. They disrupted his flow, hurries, pressures, knockdowns. You can get him rattled if you do that. Well, they happen to have Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is the best interior defensive lineman in the National Football League. 20 and a half sacks at that position this year. I think that's a record for his position that he plays. And he's lined up next to Ndamukong Suh, who has been known to take a play or two off, but when he wants to play, can be dominant. Well, when he's disrupting things, that only frees up Aaron Donald, and would make him better in this whole thing. I think if the two of them are attacking things and getting after Brady in the pocket before he can release and disrupt it, whether it's knockdown and getting an arm up and swatting things down or just making that pocket uncomfortable, they really have a chance in this thing.
So they would be the X factor from this game turning into what we saw the Chiefs and the Patriots play, which was get the ball, score, get the ball, score. Last team that has the ball scores, kind of thing. They could be the ones that make it not a game like that.
Absolutely. And by the same token, if you wanted to trade scores, the Rams has a high enough powered offense to be able to do that. They have playmakers. So if you wanted to see a burner back and forth seesaw thing, they can do that too. But I think you want to try to slow it down a little bit with what Todd Gurley can do in that running game.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see a good game on the field. I think the storylines, if you're a media person, you love the storylines in this one, regardless of how the games go. So the pregame leading up to it just lends to a lot of great storylines with the young team, the old team, the young coach, the old coach, the young quarterback, the old, it just sets up perfectly.
And here's the other one, too. And this is, I think it's just irony in this thing. They're playing each other. Those two franchises are 17 years to the day of when really the Tom Brady era and that whole dynasty started. They played in that Super Bowl 17 years ago where Tom Brady was in kind of Jared Goff's shoes. He, at that time when they beat the greatest show on turf in New Orleans, he was the youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl at that time, but that was the first of all those Super Bowls and this run that's been going on for over 15 years now. So 15 years to the day they play each other. Different venue, but they play each other in this thing. So there's a lot of things that line up in this. Most of the world has not seen Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Falcons play in Atlanta where Super Bowl 53 is. It's a fantastic building from what I understand. I think it'll show and pop up on TV. There's this big ring video ribbon at the top of the stadium for people in-house to look at. And it should be an interesting game. If I think with my brain, it's probably the Patriots, but my heart will be with the Rams in this thing just because I'm ready to see somebody different.
If the Rams win this, what does it do for their franchise and everything they need to accomplish moving forward in Los Angeles?
Well, it's super important because here they have just completed their third season in Los Angeles after moving from St. Louis, and they originally were in Los Angeles 21 years before or whatever. Stan Kroenke, their owner, he's building a massive stadium just outside of, I guess it's LAX maybe.
And he's got tickets to sell. He's got all kind of expensive stuff to sell.
And I saw a screenshot of the construction progress. That stadium is over 60% completed now.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be a monster of a stadium. It will be shared space between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Rams. So, yeah, what's the goal there is in the biggest television market in the National Football League, put butts in seats. And one way to do that is to win a world championship. And here's the thing that I think cannot be stated enough. And I'm partial to these people that I'm mentioning, but Jeff Fisher and his staff, when they signed him to be the head coach of the St. Louis Rams, he was preparing them for this eventual move. I've thought all along that was a thing that was going to happen because he'd done it before. When the Oilers left Houston, they played in Memphis in 97, Vanderbilt in 98, and then the stadium was finished, Nissan Stadium, in 99. So he has been down that vagabond trail. And then the draft picks, they drafted Todd Gurley, they drafted Aaron Donald, they drafted some of these stars, and between that and some of the trades that they've made, and then you pepper in this newer head coach, Sean McVay, 33 years old. You talked about it for a second about the battle of the generations. They laid the foundation for this, or the Rams wouldn't probably be in this spot because they have a lot of good players at key positions.
I think if you're the Rams going into this game, you're in a perfect position because not a lot is expected from you. I don't know that the pressure's on you at this point because if you lose, they say, well, the Patriots, you're going to get the Nets, the Patriots, they're great. And you get a pass. If you lose, you get a pass. If you win, you are the sweethearts of the world just because you did what you did. So I think it's a no-lose situation for the Rams in some cases. And they'll be back unless something goofy happens. And they're going to be good next year.
We're in a day and age where the salary cap dictates what's going on. The salary cap goes up. up exponentially every year. It's supposed to go up another $10 to $12 million this year in the fiscal year that will start in March. And yeah, they've paid some guys some money, and they'd be up against it here in a couple of years, but they've got a window in between 2019 and 2020 to kind of make this thing happen.
He is the executive producer for Titans Radio, Rhett Bryan, about to go into off-season here. Kind enough to join us again. I want to get your thoughts on a few of these things people can bet on, a few prop bets in Vegas.
All right.
The odds are 400 to 1 on predicting a correct score for the Super Bowl, by the way.
Okay.
Pretty tough. MVP of the game, best odds belong to Tom Brady. Number 2 odds, Jared Goff. Number 3 odds, Todd Gurley. Do you slip Sony Michel in there somewhere, or do you think that's the top 3?
If Sony Michel has, 4 rushing touchdowns and 150 yards or whatever, yeah, I think you have to consider him. And look, that whole deal, that's not always the given on a prop bet anyway, because there have been Super Bowls in recent history. You're like, wait a minute, he was the Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, you make one big catch, and you could be the MVP.
The year that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when John Gruden left the Raiders and he coached them the next year and they won the Super Bowl. They beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Dexter Jackson, a defensive back, was the MVP of the Super Bowl that year. And you're like, gosh, I forgot all about him,
Yeah, names that aren't household names.
Right. And the other thing, too, that is even rarer than that is a Super Bowl MVP on a losing team. Chuck Howley, Dallas Cowboys.
It's happened once? Is that
Chuck Howley, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And his stat line was incredible that day.
I was thinking I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
It has happened one time in NFL history. How many plays will Tony Romo correctly predict in the Super Bowl? Let's play over or under.
Okay.
6 is the number.
Well, I'd go over in a minute.
Most people are saying it's like 7.5.
I'd say it's closer to 10.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, honestly.
And you know what's funny about that is Bum Phillips' son, Wade, who is the defensive coordinator of the Rams, they asked him the other day, heading to the Super Bowl, what's his game plan for defending Tom Brady and the Patriots? He said, well, I'm just going to call Tony Romo, and he's going to tell me what they're going to do before they're going to do it.
We're going to get a TV feed.
Yeah, we're going to be great. It's going to be great.
I'm just going to put the TV feed into my defensive back's helmet and let him listen.
But it is uncanny when he sees those personnel groupings and formations. I mean, he's like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what they're going to do here.
Will a non-quarterback throw a touchdown pass? Best odds on yes or no? Non-quarterback throwing a touchdown pass.
Yes, I would say yes.
You do have players that have done that this year. Yeah. They've thrown passes.
Todd Gurley done it.
Yeah. So
I think even Gronkowski may have done it.
Total touchdowns. I think the number was 5.5 that was thrown out there. You had to go over or under that of total touchdowns. The best odds on that one was over. A total of 5.5.
I would agree with that.
Right? That's kind of an easy one, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree. With these kinds of teams that are in this thing, yeah, it could be a barn burner.
This is going to be an easy one for you, and I'm going to ask this, and I want you to play along if you're listening to this podcast. By the way, this is the Marty and Friends podcast. I'm Marty McFly. That's Rhett Bryan right over there, the executive producer for Titans Radio. Has there been a quarterback, a starting quarterback, that has won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams? Don't you answer this. It's going to be easy for you. I said starting quarterback. Has there been a starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl for 2 different teams? Now, let's think about the names that might come to mind. You would say, oh, Joe Montana, he went. But wait, he didn't win with the Chiefs. He only won with the 49ers. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes, and I know you know the answer to that. There's only been one starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. And, of course, that was Peyton Manning.
That's correct.
So check this one out. First Super Bowl played, 1967. It was not a sellout. Wasn't quite the spectacle it is today. Ticket prices for the first Super Bowl in 1967 were $12. Now, I think if you add inflation into that, that works out to about $90. What are tickets going for this one, and what have you heard?
I've heard like $4,000 and $5,000 a pop.
Really?
I mean, for a couple of 3 years now, face value on most tickets are $1,000.
Tom Brady has thrown 18 touchdown passes in Super Bowls, which is the far most in NFL history. There's only one quarterback that comes close to that. I think there's only one other quarterback with double digits passes, and that would be Joe Montana.
Yeah, because he played in 4.
Yeah, but it boils down to the number of Super Bowls you go back to get that record, right?
Yes.
And I bring that up to ask you this question. Will anybody ever touch Tom Brady's Super Bowl records?
Right now, I'd say no, just because no one else is doing it on a consistent level in the salary cap era the way that Bill Belichick, owner Robert Kraft, and Tom Brady have done with the Patriots, as much as it pains me to say that.
Think about how hard that is. Number one, a player has to play this long, has to be successful this long, and has to come into a team at a successful level.
Right.
This may never happen again in our lifetime.
And
ever.
much like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're in a window of time. It's really interesting, both of how much these franchises are alike in one respect. People think the Pittsburgh Steelers have always been this powerhouse of continually, perpetual, annual, really competitive play, contending for a championship. And they haven't. They were terrible for 50, 60 years. Now I'm talking about in the early days of the National Football League, when they hired Chuck Noll in 1969 and they drafted Terry Bradshaw out of Louisiana Tech, and they started drafting these guys like Joe Green out of North Texas and building these pieces. They won 4 world championships in the 70s, and they've been a model of consistency since then for going on 50 years, because they've had, 3 head coaches since then?
Sure, yeah.
There's
a lot to
Chuck
do with
Noll,
it.
Bill Cowher, and now with Mike Tomlin, who's been there 13, 14 years. And they're in it. They're in the conversation every year. Well, it's the same thing with the Patriots. They were terrible for the longest time. Anybody who is our age will immediately remember Tony Eason getting killed in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. That's really the last time they were in anything before the Brady era by the Bears, the 85 Bears defense that just absolutely just destroyed them. And to see how they do that year in, year out, it's nothing short of amazing. And because of the salary cap and free agency, I don't know that we'll see anyone touch Tom Brady's postseason records, because he's played in so many games.
Yeah, I want to say our lifetime, but it truly may be a never again kind of a record. Our special guest has been Rhett Bryan from Titans Radio, executive producer. You will hear him. Actually, your year may crank up in a bigger way than it ever has this year. You always work hard for the draft, but this year, I guess you have a few extra things on your plate with the draft being here in Nashville, right? I assume more people want a piece of your time when it comes to
and
that?
our coverage expands. I mean, because we want to be in the thick of it. And, you're talking about downtown Nashville is estimated to have 300,000 visitors for this event. It'll be the biggest event that Nashville has put on.
So there's a main stage that they're going to be putting downtown. Then the actual teams, though, make their picks from the Skirmer-Horn?
That's
is that
correct.
Right? Okay.
That is correct.
So that's where you'll see the commissioner go up and stuff and make the pick announcement, or will he do that downtown?
He'll do that downtown.
Oh, okay. But the teams will be based at the Skirmer-Horn.
That's
gotcha.
correct.
Where will you be based when you make
That is still in the works,
Okay.
but I think it will be close to the stadium at the NFL Experience display.
Okay, and that brings me to
And-
the other thing. They'll be – so you've got Skirmer-Horn stuff going on. You've got there at Broadway with the stage going on. Then you've got a lot of free stuff that you can go check out there in the parking lot at Nissan Stadium.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The NFL Experience. And here's the thing about that. I'm actually leaving for Atlanta this week and going to go see the NFL Experience, because I want to see what all that is about, because I've been told that whatever the NFL Experience display and exhibits and those things are at the Super Bowl is what Nashville will have here in April. So I'm doing a little scout work there to see what that's like, see what the layout's like, and what we can expect. But yeah, this is the biggest event. And, of course, that says a lot when you're talking about CMA Fest or any of these things that happen in Nashville. But I'm telling you, this is the biggest event that Nashville has put on in the history of the city, just because of all the things that are going on and the people in town. There'll be over 2,500 credentialed media at this event alone.
Wow. Which, by the way, can I join Titans Radio for that week?
Yeah,
Speaking
sure.
of-
Let's get you a credential. Absolutely.
If you need some help, let me know. I'll be
Marty
around.
McFly, man on the street.
I'll be a runner or something or other.
Here we go.
Okay, final question. You are going to Atlanta. Are you not going to the game?
Not going to the game. The thing is, when the Super Bowl is this close to you, it doesn't hurt to drive down and go see what's happening. I've been there and done that with the Titans and the Rams in that very same spot. 19 years ago, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it, and I think I choose that the next time I go to a Super Bowl is when the Titans are in it.
I've been to 2 Super Bowl hooplas. I've been to the one in Tampa with the Giants and Patriots, I think. I can't remember. Giants and somebody. This was back in the early 90s. I was working in Tampa, so I was around the events at the stadium
Okay.
while that one's going on. And then I actually went to the Super Bowl with the Bears and the Colts where Peyton Manning won his Super Bowl.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I was actually at
You remember the MVP for that one?
the MVP? No, I don't. It wasn't Peyton since you asked me this question.
No, it was, but it goes back to your question a few minutes ago in this podcast. Joseph Adai, the running back, had a really good game in that, and I thought he was a guy that maybe was deserving of being the MVP, but it was Peyton.
On the way back, I ran into a Chicago Bears fan, and this is the crazy prices people will pay for tickets. And he said, hey, I came down here, didn't have a ticket, but I was going to get a ticket. He paid $1,200 to sit on the very top row, the very furthest seat from the field on the very top row in the rain. He paid $1,200 to do that. Why? So I may never see my team in a Super Bowl again. So he sat there, and he loved every minute of it.
That's a brave man considering Rex Grossman was their quarterback at that time.
He was happy about the situation.
I would have much rather seen the 2018 Bears with Mitch Trubisky and those guys, but wow.
Hey, I know I kept you for a lot longer than I told you I was going to.
We can talk football or sports or anything, and we need to talk music. We need to talk music soon.
Yeah, we'll do that because we have a common shared interest of
yes.
older 70s type music and
yes.
early 80s type music. We'll do that. And I want to have you back before the draft, too.
Sure.
At some point. So thanks for joining us, man.
Glad to do it.
Another Marty and Friends podcast. Thank you for listening.